The East Carolina Pirates, even though that they are one of the best AAC teams, is also a team that lost their head coach because he got fired. Start of the season, he went 3-4. Uh, this was Mike Houston. He finished with the 27-38 record. So they went with the guy that they picked as the interim head coach, which is Blake Harrell, who ended the season 5-1. Here's a team that started out, like I said, 3-4 and ended 8-5. Two different quarterbacks playing in the games. Uh, this is a situation where I don't think it could have been done in any other conference. You saw what happened with Florida State. You see what happens with other teams over the years that have had this. Look at how bad Florida started out. This is that kind of turnaround, only it required the coach getting fired. By the way, I happen to like East Carolina a little bit. I was stationed in North Carolina in the Marine Corps, and the closest place to really enjoy partying was where East Carolina was. So, I got to party a little bit with some of the young ladies from East Carolina. That was a place where Marines went to party alongside college students. So, that's I've got a little bit of a personal connection to the school, so I pay attention to them on occasion. So, just before I get into the team, the record, and everything, and by the way, I'm going to focus on both quarterbacks in the same thing, so instead of just QB1, I'm going to do QB1 and QB2. If you like these sorts of videos, if you like talking college football, like talking college sports, hey, hit like, subscribe, and all that fun stuff. So, let's get into it.
Hey folks, this is Paul with Redneck Sports. I want to thank you for viewing my video, and I want to give you one thought process. There was a famous coach at the University of Tennessee by the name of General Robert Nealon. He had 6 maxims, but number 2 maxim is what everybody should apply to their life. Play for and make the breaks. When one comes your way, score. That's how to live your life right there.
Okay, like I said, they started out 3-4 and ended the season 3-5. They were able to beat Norfolk State, which, by the way, Norfolk State got rid of their football coach. They brought in Michael Vick. Yes, that Michael Vick. It's Norfolk State. Virginia Beach is right here, or Norfolk and Virginia Beach are right next to each other, so that's a connection. Then they beat Old Dominion 20-14. Old Dominion's got like a really weird thing going on there. So then they lost to App State, really close, 21-19. I love me some App State football, but they had a really weird football season themselves. Liberty, they lost to 35-24. Liberty was a little bit down this year, but they're still a good team. They beat UTSA 30-20. They lost badly to Charlotte 55-24, which really strange team to lose to. Then they lost to Army 45-28. It's at that point that they lost their head coach, like I was saying earlier, and they got their new one. And so with Blake Harrell taking over, it became they beat Temple 56-34. They beat Florida Atlantic 49-14. They beat Tulsa 38-31. They beat North Texas 40-28. And they lost to a very good Navy team 34-20. That qualified them. They were 7-5 at that point. That qualified them to go to the Go Bowling Military Bowl, where they beat NC State 26-21. Now, NC State, that was just a bad year. And because of being a Tennessee ball fan and the way that I am, I got to watching some of the NC State people last year at the beginning of the season because Tennessee played them at the beginning of the season. Yeah, that I still watch those videos. NC State's the Wolfpack is, yeah, football wise, they were a wild story. They actually, if they had played their season correctly, they could have gone to the playoffs. But I don't, not really. They had the season to be able to do it, but they didn't have the team to be able to do it. So, yeah, this was a okay. They beat FCS Norfolk State. Old Dominion is just a wild one to have played. App State, another out of conference. I mean, you're looking at this record of okay, Navy. I'm not surprised they lost an Army or Navy. I'm kind of surprised that they got beat by Charlotte the way they did. UTSA was a good win. Um, Florida Atlantic, not surprised they beat them the way they did. Tulsa, that was and North Texas both were quality wins for the conference, in my opinion. So, I think that Blake Harrell could do good because he took what he had and did a good job with what he had. So let's get into the two quarterbacks next. Okay, now the reason why I'm doing both quarterbacks is because they played both. Garcia played up until Charlotte. Hauser played till the end of the season, and Hauser was actually playing hurt. So Garcia was most likely starting QB1, but he wasn't able to make it through. And Hauser took over. But I think you need to pay attention to both quarterbacks because they're both able to still be there. Um, you're looking at Jake Garcia at 109 completions on 181 attempts, so he was at 60.2%. 8 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. He got sacked 12 times, roughly 2 times a game. I don't know why he was throwing so many interceptions. He also rushed 40 times for 46 yards and had two rushing touchdowns. Not He wasn't bad at throwing. He just didn't know where he was throwing to. That's the problem. His longest was 65 yards. Okay, Cat Hauser, 149 completions, 245 yards, 2,006 yards through the air. He had 60.8% completion, 18 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, only 10 sacks on him. Now, here's the problem on this. That's still way too high when you're talking about interceptions versus touchdowns. And he rushed 49 times for 170 yards and had 4 touchdowns himself as a rushing. So, if the two of them could stop throwing interceptions, yeah, ECU would be a much better team. I don't know what's going on with the two. I really don't. But yeah, that's the problem that Harold's going to have to deal with if he's going to move him forward. It really is. So now let's get to the offense. Now, the ECU offense, I mean, you heard the record, so it's not like they didn't have some positives. Rajai Harris had 206 rushes, 1,166 yards on the ground, long of 86, and he had 11 touchdowns. I've already told you Hauser had four touchdowns rushing. Marlon Gunn Jr. had 3 touchdowns rushing. London, Montgomery had 2. It's, their rushing game wasn't bad, could be better. Anthony Smith, 41 receptions, 799 yards, wide receiver, 6 receiving touchdowns. Winston Wright Jr., 54 receptions, 556 yards, 8 receiving touchdowns. Chase Soul had 3. Yannick Smith had 3. Desorio Riles had 2. A couple other guys had touchdowns. Here's the thing: if they weren't throwing so many interceptions, and they put another running back in there, or if they had a little bit better running game, spread it out a little bit better. Honestly, this was not a bad offense. It's those interceptions. They weren't getting to the quarterback as much as you would think they would for a team like this. So it really is. It's a if they could get quarterbacks that weren't throwing interceptions, this would be a really good offense. So now the defense for ECU, the Pirates had Omar Rogers had 105 tackles. Zachy Barker had 84, Mike Edwards 76, Jamarly Riddle had 63, Raheem Craig 52, Gavin Gibson 52. So there's 6 over 50 with Omar Rogers being a beast. Elijah Morris had 4 sacks. Samuel Danka 3 sacks. Zakai Barker had 2 sacks. 23 sacks is not a good look. I mean, they weren't getting to the quarterback as much. But here's the thing: they had 14 interceptions. 3 of them they returned for touchdowns, and they had 10 forced fumbles. So while they couldn't get to the quarterback, they were making them very uncomfortable. They were also forcing plays. You know, needing to be a little bit more balanced. They need to learn how to get through the offensive line. And that's the only problem. I mean, this is a decent uh, defense, just like the offense. It's a decent team. And I'm glad that they were able to switch uh, head coaches and actually get them to the point that they could win. Because, like I said earlier, I like ECU. Now, ECU moving forward, like I said, both Hauser and Garcia are going to be back next year. I don't know what to think about it. They're going to be going to NC State on August 28th, and BYU is coming to them. So they've got 2 decent Power 5 teams coming to them, or that they're going to be playing, pardon me. It's not a bad or schedule from the looks of it. And with the way that Harrell was able to get them going at the end of the season, honestly, I think in and of itself, if Hauser should have been able to beat probably Charlotte. They, I think honestly, the way that he was coaching them, I think he could have turned around that Charlotte game, turned it into a totally different game, and possibly the App State game. That would have been 2 more wins for them. Okay, one's out of conference, but you know, that one in conference, and I know that Charlotte blew them out 55-24, but I honestly think that it was more along the lines of that these guys, by that point, they just could figure it out. So I think next year they're going to be a little bit more formidable. if Harrell uses everything that he's got. I think he needs to decide on a quarterback, and with Hauser having played hurt most of the time he was playing, I think that there may need he. Hopefully he'll be okay because Hauser looks like the better of the two quarterbacks that they've got versus Garcia. Garcia needs to go back to QB2, and Garcia needs to play QB1, and they need to get those interceptions under control. I I like the Pirates, but really, too many interceptions. Well, this has been Paul, the Redneck with Redneck Sports. Y'all have a good day now. Bye.
I want to thank you for watching my video. And if you like what you saw, like, subscribe, and comment. Y'all have a good day now.